I hear from people more than seldom a kind of despair about the state of the world. And so I want to share something with you from the perspective of healing and transformation. Are you ready? I want to share with you that your thoughts can be a conversation with life. That when you find your thoughts running in a way that is wondering about the future, witnessing the difficulty, emphasizing that which is not going as well as it could, that you can respond to that thought with another thought. I'm talking about the material that is behind the surface of life, which is the realm of thought, and saying that you can have an effect on life by choosing what to think. So how would that go? Okay, before the how would that go, mark this moment in case I forget what I was up to. I just want to say to you that science has actually caught up to what I'm telling you, just in case you're feeling doubtful. There has been research done now on the brain. I'm talking about the physical matter of the brain. And it turns out when you change what you're thinking, the grooves in your brain change. You can actually change the shape, the grooves of your brain by changing your thought. This is proof that thought can change matter. Or at least it's good enough for me. And maybe you'll try it and see if it's good enough for you too. So how would this work? You hear about something that is happening in the world that distresses you. Let's come up with something. What? Work. Okay. Work's distressing you. You're in a job. You really don't like it. You're thinking to yourself, I really don't like my job. You can think to yourself, something new is coming my way. Something that will make this job better. Or you can think, this is a first step towards a new job. I wonder how it will show itself to me. And then when the phone rings, you wonder, oh, is that my new job? A letter comes in the mail, I wonder if that's my new job. You talk to a friend, I'm ready to get something new, another job. Have you heard of something? No, I'm saying you can say that to your friend, although maybe you've heard of something. And you just hold that thought steadily and see what happens. Within 30 days, I think something will happen. Okay, what else?
How about a world situation where there's...
Give us an example.
Well, in Africa, the people that are starving and being terrorized and so forth, intertribal things.
Yeah. Okay, so that's big. With the big things, it's not going to take 30 days. And you may never know the effect that your thoughts have had. And you can still apply this. So, for example, you hear about children starving. Pick one. Or war. Well, you can pick two. And you think to yourself, it's time for this to change. It's time for this to change. Somehow, we've come to a place, we, the wholeness, here on earth, where there can be an emergence of a new way of treating each other, where the children are fed and they have people to parent them. And because, people, there's an AIDS epidemic, there's many families that are, the head of the family is 12 or 10. It's a very sad situation. And even 10 years ago, there wasn't the medicine that there is now. There aren't the schools that there are now. Just this last weekend, I have met 2 people who have been bringing education into Tanzania. Why would I run into 2 people who are doing this? So I'm saying I ran into it so I can say to you, there is change happening. And maybe you and I will expect more change. So rather than adding thought, which is a kind of power, to the difficulty that is there, you honor the difficulty, you don't ignore it, you don't deny it, and you notice the path to change. Somehow it will change. And then you could even have a little chat with the source of everything. Some people call that God. You may call it the universe. You may call it source or love or whatever you do. You might turn your attention to that and say, it's time. We really need more education and food and clothing and shelter, and we need an influx of peacefulness in Africa. And I'm voting for that. I'm saying I'm adding it to my prayers, and I'm going to expect that something will happen. Then, just like when it's a personal thing, you start wondering when the phone rings if it's for you. Or you start wondering when the letter comes, is this the answer? Or you actually talk to people and address it in the same way you ask yourself, well, how can I affect this change in Africa? And maybe you'll hear about somebody who's starting a school and you'll say, I can't go, but I'll give you $50. And you become the first answer to your prayer. Or you look in the newspaper and you say to yourself, gosh, I wonder if there's something really wonderful that's happened in Africa. I think I'll look through the news and see what's happening there. So in this way, you add your expectation, the power of your thought, the power of your attitude, of your hope in that direction. You place it in that direction. We think our thoughts are personal, and they are personal in that they happen within us, and we are the ones that we hope are in charge of them rather than them in charge of us, and yet we don't make use of them. We make use of our words, we make use of our body, we make use of our income, we make use of the stuff that we have in our life, and yet the power of our thought, the power of our expectation, the power of our inner feeling, we tend to just let that be kind of like a puddle of mush. So, in this way, by
New moment.
it's a new moment, light. In this way, we participate in the creation of reality by paying attention, by consciously choosing where we will lend our energy, what thoughts we will put our energy into, how we will help co-create the actualization of this message that we are all part of the same one reality, that we are all interconnected, that in the depth of our heart we share one heart. That our souls are an expression of one whole. That the essence of our being is one. In this way, we begin to actualize this. And isn't this the movement of our time? This awakening that Piramurshid Inayat Khan talked about at the beginning of the 1900s has become a wave that is spreading throughout reality. And there are people all over the world sharing in this. There are people who are participating, whether they call it the we, or that we're all in the waka together. Whether they sing about it through a prayer in Hebrew or in Latin or in Sanskrit, in Chinese, in Japanese, in Swahili. It's the same message. And every time you consciously participate in that, you are joining hands with people all over who are doing the same thing today. There really is an awakening that's happening. And just like every other birth, it is a little messy. And it is a birth. And just like every other birth, there's the lightness and the darkness. Isn't it interesting that even as we're having this class, there's light, and then there's not light, and there's flickering, and then there's darkness. This is just the way it is. Birth is like this. I'm encouraging you to respond to the need of today.